The early version of this, last time I was here, worked on it since, I feel better with it. The me and you. The transient in me shuffles. His feet and contents of his pockets, lots of paper containing nothing and no one. Where is his gait? In those pockets of shaved wood, there's some change, pennies, quarters, $50, made invisible, weightless. Possible to spend, but warming, for security of possibilities, worth something if they are left unspent. The gangster in me carries spray paint and chalk outlines in his memory. His placo weighs him down, makes him walk with a slouch, keeps his ears to the ground for rumbling that stutters bias and turf war. Having something to defend a territory of heart worth dying 4 or 5 times. In the slow motion of a knife slashing, air whistling penetration, loss of breath, a bruise of bone, the thud warm and round as a hug from a mother. The clown in me drinks enough to have a red nose that throbs, of disjointed marionette movement, strung out on the need for laughter. In the 3 rings of the mind, he is dancing garish, witty, verbal color around the sword swallow. Feigning a tickle, receiving a glare, people with swords in their throats have no sense of humor. Distracting the lion tamer to death and catching a trapeze artist with a paper net, whoops. The liar in me would tell you the truth, but he's afraid you'll take it wrong. After so many years of you expecting a story, the truth would bore a hole in the relationship. Sinking the need to be amused, entertained, floated buoyant, kept up to date on the latest partial bridge to the other side of biting non-acceptance of you and I resembling each other. So everybody look at the see, except see, I'm going.
Looking good.
All right, each other. All right, we're all repeating here. The sight of your biting non-acceptance of you and I resembling each other. It's just a thought. But the you in me, the one that pays the check, the one that offers me solace when the truth seems empty and not worth a dime, will always keep a tally tattooed on the most tender part of his body. And he will always pinch at times when memory is not enough. For the transient, the gangster, the clown, and the liar to be worthy of bookkeeping numbers laid out by familiar songs, a jukebox of scratched 45s, dull CDs, MPEGs that are no longer playable. But they all will continue to dance, remembering the dance hall, where we gathered, where we learned to be more than one thing, more than just a thought. All right. So here's an example, okay? That could be laid out in a poetic form. I gave you a copy of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was interpreting it as a prose poem.
Right, but I'm going to read it. See the stanzas.
Okay.
All right. The terror of treasure, being lost at sea. The waves of evergreen depth will not spend the gold. Only count the coins and hoard it in the darkness and cold. I am rich with darkness and cold. Into the embrace of memory, gold turns to lead. Unless but for weight, I am separated from you. I am blue, red, purple wall of will that holds in an overrun garden. I am a gardener lost in the race, consumed with topiary he will never win. Nature will have its way. I have separated myself from me. That broke out
Yeah.
Now, if it was on the page that way,
That'd be a completely different animal.
live and learn. I tell you this as a sailor, here for Fleet Week, drunk on Golden Dawn. The ripple of concrete sea, compass taxi Royal Bob. See, I think that's a direct influence from Ferlinghetti, but it's just me. Split the infinity of uptown down, the Bowery of my soul. Bloody whiskey bandage, wound of word offered up by my distrust of reality. It's better at the hand of Vincent, drunk on the rage of love. I embrace the esoteric drunken slang, the imp of tools, of words, of lens, of fragile glass. Bring me the art of light, required to temper my stern. Harden the heart of the matter. See, if I got rid of and, it would be better. This graceless armor keeps the dancer in stir, but safe from the unfed soul of the world. You sleep in Juno's head. This brain, this builder of decibels, wound tight as ball, gag, bouncing lazily away from its initiate, freed of pleasure bounds, it's sold cheap by richer minds, passing themselves off as day traders, when they wouldn't trade a day for the goosing of flesh needed to know. You wake in Calliope's heart.
And that's recent.
That's recent.
That's a good.
I mean, one of the hardest things to me about writing poetry and prose is not getting so far up your own ass that you can't write anything that's things that nobody can relate to. Because is that the disease of writing? Or is it the plenty of writing? That you give something, that you're willing to give something of yourself so completely, and you don't really care if they understand. If they walk away with something.
Well, if you're trying, I would argue that there has to be some intent to connect or communicate, and that you're not just opening a wound in yourself for the world to, hey, look at this.
Well, that's what I said. Certain poetry becomes like that. The premise. One of the reasons I stopped going to poetry readings and I stopped participating because we started using the term. Well, that's really diuretic poetry, and it just multi-meaning there. You know, it's like, well, I'm sorry that person broke your heart, but I don't want to hear about them calling you 4 times if you can't do it, to bring back the word, with some sense of rhythm, with some sense of the art.
Mm-hmm.
This is very new.
That looks like.
I posted this up the other day.
Didn't see it. Is that the hemp one?
No,
No, that's not.
this is called Sacred Pictures.
Okay.
And I wrote this knowing that the Pope was coming.
Yeah, Pope.
Pope on me. They are kept in a box, the corner of the closet. Pictures of Jesus with his heart full of thorns. One for each year that I left home, pictures stacked in order between white tissue, hand dated on the backs in an artist's perfect scroll. One picture for each Christmas since I quit scooping snow from sidewalks, pictures to me of religion. Thinking how I should become the first one, then two, displayed on the wall with eyes that followed me everywhere. So I took the pictures down and I placed them in a box, the beginning of a ritual of my own. A collection of my heritage, reminding me of winter's cold, of summer's raw heat. More than I want to remember, reminding me of thorns. So, I read other things, but they're prose.
Okay. Well,
Unless I'm going to read something out of the book.
yeah, read something out of the book.
I don't think I have one of those books here.
We have them for sale.
Hey man, toss me yours. Just toss it to me. The problem is because I did music. And I take your feedback on this here, Joe. Because I did music, a lot of my poetry at times has a more of a lyrical content. Could be set to music. But this is one of my favorite straight up poems in the book. It's called Wet. Stretched out on imagination, racking with the need to grow, competition of adolescence funneled, defining years of men pretending to be holy ghosts. Love rending your nerves exposed, curiouser and curiouser, till air seeming too thick to fill you with any buoyancy other than that of a bobbing apple in a bucket. Your face is wet.
All right. Well, thank you, Richard, or Ricardo. And so I've been selfish with asking all the questions. This is the part of Joe's Poetry Corner where our